a man who's always outside the margin of error. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice. We got a mandate. Get it on. Mike Young, comedian, filmmaker, and all that is on the show. Mayhem as well. Stealing Jokes is the name of the film. Stars Jeff Dye, I think, coming in here. Has been in here. Dustin Ybarra, who's been in here. I like very much. Michael Rappaport, or Poor. I'm not sure. Do we hit the T on that?
Rappaport. We hit the T.
We do hit the T, right?
Yeah, he takes a T.
He takes the T?
Yeah.
I was wondering where the T went.
It's all over him.
He took it.
He loves it.
Because I got my highfalutin assistant, Kyle. He keeps going, Michael Rappaport. and he's a film nerd. So I kept listening to him saying Rappaport. And I thought, that's Rappaport.
It is Rappaport.
Good dude.
Good dude. Talented.
Yeah. Got a lot of energy.
Yes.
Seen his videos.
Yeah.
Very unhinged. I like that. I like that. I can't, was he was very Democratic and now he's very Republican, or he was very pro-Israel and that pulled him Republican, or what's he doing?
He just comes with a lot of energy towards what he thinks he believes, and then he does a little deep dive, and then he finds out something that some new piece of information, and then he latches onto that. So I think he changed. I think Israel sent him to the Republican side. I think that was the new big thing for him.
I like Israel.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fan of the Jews. I love Jews.
I was born one.
For whatever unearned hatred most of the world has for Jews, I have the exact same thing, but in the positive. For not always great reasons, I love Jews.
I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment. I'll tell my cousins.
Tell the Jews.
I'll tell the whole family.
Tell
They're back in Detroit.
all the Jews. I love them.
They're just happy I'm on Carolla.
I had a step-grandfather who was Jewish from Hungary, and he was the only decent person in my entire fucking family. And it was at that moment I was like, I love Jews.
It's funny. I mean, listen, we all have relatives that we don't love at all moments.
Yeah, but not your entire immediate family.
Yeah, no, that's heavy.
Yeah, but not Laszlo Gorak. He was a good Jew.
Gorak?
Gorag.
Oh, wow.
Hungarian. Hungarians are weird name people.
Yeah, I'm glad we could put him in your family.
Oh, man.
You didn't hate
He just parachuted. He had a giant yarmulke. And he just giant parachute-sized yarmulke. If someone is not making a yarmulke parachute, so we know who the Jews are in the sky, they're leaving money on the table. But he just parachuted right into my heart.
And we're not leaving money on the table, so maybe we get this parachute going.
And he cooked.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Hungarian goulash?
He made goulash. He made no kettle. He made chicken paprikash. He made all the good Hungarian food, and it was so good.
It's funny. The Italians, I love their food. You know what I mean? The Irish have their thing. I never loved my own people's food as much. Maybe it's like my grandma wasn't the best cook. My mom, God bless her, I love her. She's maybe not the best cook. So I like the Italians for the food.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I have the Italian side. My dad's Italian. Fucking snake eyes. No grub.
No grub.
No food. No food. Every time I would try to explain my dad, Jim Carolla from South Philly, I would go, he doesn't drink, he doesn't fuck, he doesn't really eat, he doesn't do anything, he just sits around, he doesn't have a sports car,
Wow.
He doesn't really do anything, he just sits around and reads, and they go, but he's Italian. And I go, yeah. A full-blooded Italian. I go, yeah, but no love of life, no zest, no, whatever you think of when you think Italian, not that.
The passion wasn't there.
Not there. No passion. Passion. It's really a children's book. The Passionless Paisan. It's a little kid named Tony, and he's not interested
in anything. You should write that book.
Well, the problem with my dad is the theme for that book is at the end of the book he would have to find something he was into, whereas my dad just took it with him.
He's no longer with us.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, I had a very morbid thought with my dad. He passed just like 5 or 6 days ago. So I had a morbid thought.
Sorry.
That's all right. He was old. But I had this horrible thought, which is he was never really that into politics or anything. But one time I went and talked to him this is like 5 years ago, and he started going off like, Trump with the kids in the cages. He's putting kids in cages. And I'm like, all right, he's not putting kids in cages, but he was obsessed with Trump and kids in cages. And I was like, oh, this guy hates Trump. I don't know why. I never talked to him. He's not a political guy, but I realized he hated Trump. And my morbid thought when I woke up this morning is, I wish he'd made it long enough to see Trump. I just do. I don't know. Maybe that's a horrible thought.
No, you just
Is that a horrible thought?
No, because you want to see your dad get fired up about something.
Yeah, the passion. Yeah, the passion.
You want to see your dad get passionate.
The book, I should say the book, that's a children's book we're working on. The Passionless Paisan.
I think it's a hit.
Little Tony. Nothing interesting.
No.
Little Tony, you want some pizza? No, I'm good. Little Tony, the great opera singer, Giuseppe Paloma's in town. I'm okay. I don't need... Little Tony, I got a new Ferrari. Fine, I'll see it another day. That's the story of little Tony, the passionless paisan. Nothing could get his interest.
At the end, they find out he's Jewish.
Tony, young Maria has a crush on you. I'm good.
The passionless paisan.
I'm going to write that book.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The movie, I should say, that we're talking about, it's available now. You can buy it or you can rent it on Amazon, Apple TV, Vudu, Google, YouTube. How many days was this movie shoot?
This was a 27-day shoot, physical shooting.
That's not bad for an indie.
It was total
Indies can be
indie.
like 18, 19, and it gets real tough.
Yeah, we were like an indie plus. You know,
indie plus.
Yeah, we were like a little indie plus. We were able to shoot 27 days. We shot three of the weeks in Detroit. The rest was in LA. Mm-hmm. And it was just fun to make. It was just the sentiment of, comedians getting screwed over, and let's go get our money.
It's funny. I saw the trailer. I haven't seen the complete film, but it's worth a look. I think you'll see the trailer and you'll go, okay, that's funny. I had a little odyssey vis-a-vis voting yesterday, which was, it's all comical, I guess, but I was here. Now, the last time there was an election, I lived in La Cañada, California. And now I live in Malibu, California. And so what always happens with me is if ever I ask something 2 or 3 times, it's always going to happen. It's like Beetlejuice or Candyman or something. And Joe will remember me walking into the back office with my assistant going, are you sure I can just vote in Malibu even though I lived in La Crescenta and I haven't registered or said I've moved? And it kept going around just go to the polling place in Malibu and vote. And I was like, okay. And I kept saying something's going to go wrong, and it always does. So yesterday I leave here. I got an appointment to get my hair cut in Malibu. Also am doing Dave Rubin's election show live at 5. And my plan is in between I'm going to vote. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to hustle it off. I'm going to get to the polling place. I'm going to vote hopefully fast and then hit that haircut and hopefully fast and then get back home and live stream with Dave Rubin. Jew, I think.
Yeah. The Rubens.
So I get to the polling place a little late. I'm supposed to get my haircuts at 3:30. I get to the polling place at 3:15, but I'm like, if I can power through this, I can get out of here. There's a line, and it's not a long line, but there's, 15 minutes. There's 10, 12 people in front of me. I was waiting in line, and then I finally get up to get registered to get the ballot. You have to sit down and put your name in and whatever. And I sit on the other side of this table, and there's a young volunteer with a computer screen in front of me, in front of him, and I sit there and I do what I always do because I travel so much. you got to pull your license out and hand it to everyone, like at the airport all the time, the rental car, everything. Then you go to the hotel, like travel's like go to the airport, hand them your license, hand them the license when you're getting the tickets, then go through security, hand them the license, then get out of the plane, go get your rental car, hand them the license, then go to the hotel, hand them the license. Like it's just hand them the license. So whenever I sit down, I just hand.
Ready.
If I go to take a piss, I'll hand my license to the guy standing next to me, just in the next urinal. He'll take it. So I hand the kid the license. I start to offer the license, and he goes, "I can't take that." And I go, "You can't take it?" And he goes, No, it's illegal for me to take your license." And I go, "Oh, fucking California. Just fucking damn it. Jesus Christ. You got to fucking show your license for everything except for the most sacred and most important. It's so important and so sacred. More sacred than buying beer. More sacred than going through Burbank Airport. Even more. Oh, much more. Okay. But no ID for the most sacred. The most important thing you can do as a citizen is not fly to Phoenix on a Southwest and not buy a Sixer or Mickey's Big Mouth. It is vote. But for that, we need no ID. And not only do we not need it, we'll not accept it. So I go, okay, so you can't take it. No, I can't take it. Okay. All right. I'm kind of in a hurry here, so let's go. Okay, what's your name? Adam Carolla. C-A-R? Yeah. Did you say 2 R's? No, just C-A-R-O-L-L-A. Okay. C-A-R-O-L-A? No, C-A-R. It's on my license. Yeah, I could give you the license. No, I can't take the license. Okay, what's the mailing address? I go, okay, I used to live in La Crescenta, La Cañada. I don't think it's that. It's not the Malibu one. I think my money manager's in Van Nuys. Okay, 11752 Kittredge Street. Kittredge, yeah. How do you spell Kittredge? It's K-I-T-T-R-I. Hold on, slow down. K-I-T, single T? Okay. Can you hold my light? Can you just look at the license? All this stuff. Hold on, my computer's glitchy. All right, so then it gets glitchy. When I sit away. I'm sitting there. I got to get a fucking haircut. And then at some point, his computer starts up again. And he goes, all right, well, now I got to re-enter this stuff. First name, Adam. The second name, C-A-R-C-O-R-C-A. It's all the stuff you're asking. It's on this little laminated thing that you could look at it and then just get it all. You can get it all. I can't accept that license. So I go, okay. And he's on 11752. What street was it? Kittredge. Is that K-I-T or K-E? K-I-T-T-R-I. And then his supervisor comes by. And right before his supervisor comes by, I go, how about this? I'll make you a deal. I will hold this card in front of you, and then you could get all the information off of this card on your computer, but I'll hold it. I'm not going to give it to you. Or I could set it down and walk away.
Fully legal.
But you don't have to touch the card. And then the supervisor comes by, and she goes, what's going on over here? The computer's glitchy. And I go, look, can't I just set my driver's license down and he can read the driver's license? And she goes, oh, he can take your driver's license. I go, oh, hold on. He can take my driver's license? Yeah, he can't ask for it.
Oh, this kid.
I go, it's a science. Oh, yeah. Well, let go from free jobs. It's not quite Damocles' sword over your head. Hey, guess who's not going to get paid? Who's somewhere else who's not here who's not getting paid? Yeah. Back up your. So I'm like, So he's not allowed to ask for the most sacred right as an American, right? Not allowed to. He's not allowed to ask for a driver. He can't ask for it, but he can take it if I hand it to him. Yeah, he can take it and get the information off it. I'm like, first off, I'm like, what time did you get here this morning? It's like 9 a.m. Okay, it's 4. This is not now. I'm busting your knowledge, Hyman, with this piece of information. 13 hours into this run? This is not... But by the way, this is not knowable stuff like beforehand? No.
I wouldn't have voted.
Well, now the comedy ensues. Type it in more. Now he has my license. Type it. It's like, nothing is in here.
There's no Carolla.
I'm like doing COR. I don't trust you. Nothing. And the supervisor's like, there's nothing. I will try do the address, I've been there for an hour at this point. My haircut's just a dream, The guy goes, you're not in the system. You're nowhere. I go, okay. All right. Well, now, just give me my license back. I get the fuck out of here because I got to get my haircut. I'm not going to sit around and try to sift through the ashes of my day. I'm leaving. There's no autopsy. I'm out. Get my license. I go walking out, and the do-gooder volunteer guy goes, do you want an I voted sticker? Which, by the way, these fucking pussies. I saw a pussy guy leave. He was like 30 feet yonder, and the guy went, did you get your sticker? And he goes, oh, I didn't get my sticker. And he turned around. And he's stuck. You have joined an elite fighting force of 130 million human beings who did the exact same fucking thing you just did. And so I'm fucking agitated and I'm walking out. And I'd already decided in advance, I'm not going to be one of these assholes who puts this sticker on. But I'm walking out. And as I'm walking out, the guy goes, you want your I voted sticker? And I went, I'm good. And he went, it'd really be helpful so people would know. And I went, I didn't vote. And he just looked at me and went, well, you've been here for an hour. Why didn't you? And I just left. And then I jumped in the car. And then I sped to the haircutting place. And the sane woman who normally cuts my hair was packing it up. But the insane, struggling rider... The
tattoo on the neck.
...was there.
Oh, yeah.
And I walked in like, she said, did you vote today? I don't want to don't get me started. Let's just cut the hair. I got to go do Dave Rubin's show in 45 minutes. And she goes, what happened over there? I go, I tried to show them ID. They wouldn't take my ID. And she goes, I would have called the sheriff. And I go, okay, well, you have more time in your day. Are you doing Dave Rubin's show later? Evidently not. Because you're getting the law enforcement involved. Yeah. Now, if she's a hard right-winger, she's in Malibu. She's a woman in Malibu. I thought she's lefty nutty. She's hard right. She's like, that's election interference. You should call the sheriff and have him over there. I'm like, it's not a conspiracy theory. I don't know what it is. This kid was stupid. Oh, boy. She's getting all animated. And then I'm doing this thing that I have to do with nutty hairdressers every once in a while where I go, I don't mind talking, but you got to cut.
Get on the hair.
Yeah, get on that. We can talk. You're not chewing my hair off. And she'd like stop and lean back and go, oh, my God. What is this country? And I go, I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm kind of in a hurry here. And she'd go, oh, my God. I mean, these people. And she'd put her hands on her hips and start. I could see her in the mirror, and I'm kind of going, yeah, it's good.
Gesture.
I'm trying to, I got to go. I'm working tonight. I kept telling, she'd go, you got to get the sheriff over there. And I go, I'm working. I have to work tonight. So I'm kind of in a hurry. I can't.
I'll talk over the buzzer.
Yeah. Talk over that clipper. Hot clipper talk. And she's like, yeah, well, that's that's election interference. And she's hands on the hips again. And I'm like, yeah, but I have to work. I don't have time for the sheriff, because I got to go somewhere. So I'm kind of up against it. And every time she would get animated, she would stop, start talking to me in the mirror again.
Damn.
And then the heartache of this. She says, and what do you do for a living? And I'm like, okay, I can't.
The only two people not recognizing you and your hurry in the community.
She did it later. She goes, and what do you do for a living? And I just go, I write books.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm a writer too.
You just shot yourself in the foot.
Oh, fuck. She goes, I had a whole thing, and Netflix was going to buy it, and my partner screwed me because he wanted to star in it. I go, how long have you been writing? 25 years. I'm like, you ever gotten anything made? Yeah. I mean, no, but I've been real close a couple times. I had a biblical series and a series. She had a series on like Joan of Arc or something, and she had all these books. She wrote and she wrote and she wrote, but she's cutting my hair the whole time.
Years,
You're right, 25 years, not sold a goddamn thing, and then just went on about writing and just kept talking about all her scripts and her ideas and her dumb partners, and
just
it was
accept
awesome.
it. Be the best hairstylist.
You got to say proctologist from now on.
You're right. Oh, I'm scared. I'll go back to carpenter.
There you go.
I could, and if pressed, some 68-year-old bleach blonde Malibu hairdresser decided to press me in my carpentry, like she was dubious, oh, really, a carpenter? What's the difference between CDX and OSB?
Ooh, brutal.
Yeah, I'd go, well, OSB stands for Oriented Strand Board, and I would shut him the fuck up.
I wish I could carpent.
Yeah. So that was my, so I never.
Damn, that is a day.
That was a day, yeah. What about we're not allowed to accept your ID?
This dude could have sped your whole day up tenfold.
I know.
If he just. But listen, man, that's just who was, like you said, he's working for free and he's going to another free job. This guy's whole life is to be terrible and not cost anything. There's got to be a fix there.
I do love when people have no idea what the rules are in a place where all they're supposed to do is apply the rules.
Two rules.
Yeah, because
I can't ask for your ID, but just I can.
I love the fact where every other GED toting MFer in society is saddled with the task of asking you for your ID, except for the most sacred thing America could do, and that person's not allowed to ask you for your ID.
That's unheard of.
It's bizarre, isn't
We should
it?
have brought that kid in here.
So did you vote? Did you go to La Crescenta?
I didn't vote, and
He's not in the system.
I got in the system, and I got back, and I was like, I fucking knew it. Like, third time I said to my sister, are you sure I can just go vote? And He said, yeah, go ahead. Go do it. Yeah, it's all set. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it was, I don't know if how I fell off the rolls. Maybe I died, and this is all a weird dream.
I've thought that myself.
That would be awesome.
Over the years, I've always loved that idea for another story.
Yeah, maybe this is how I found out. I actually bought it in that motorcycle accident 4 years ago. Yes, maybe that's it.
Tony, the passionless paisan.
Yes.
Look at us crafting.
In this scenario, I guess I would go to the Barnes & Noble and see it in a big display in the window and go, I was just talking about that. I never wrote it.
But you did.
Yeah, celebrated author, Adam Carolla.
Oh, man. Wish you could be here.
So I was not, anyway, I had to go. They should have given me a provisional ballot. My vote was suppressed. That's what the hairdresser lady said. That's why I should. Could you imagine me calling the sheriff?
Right now, she's talking to somebody else that's in the chair.
Right.
And right now, she's not cutting somebody else's hair.
I hope that person was not an author, because do not bring up writing in front of this woman. For the next 37 minutes, it was nonstop story outlines, pitch sessions, and ideas for books. I want some written, some unwritten, some ideas, some I don't have the time for. Writer.
Thank God, by the way, you didn't tell her really what you did, because you'd have had a whole Bible going home with you. She'd have sent you everything. Expected you to read it.
I love that. She is writing a book on the Ten Commandments, by the way, and she does some biblically based stuff as well. All right. So then there was all this great stuff that's come of this. Now, I am with Triggernometry guys in the second half of the show, and we go over sort of a lot of election-related stuff, but we'll try to keep it separated. But Joy Reid, I think, I saw a clip of hers. There's an interesting thing, which is the election was lost. The Democrats are devastated, and they want to know why. You know what I mean? And their thing is to find groups that should have voted for them and didn't, and then yell at them. And they want to break it down by women and Hispanics and men and black men and white men and so
just men.
The great thing about being a white guy is I'm in the lost cause hamper. Like I don't even get singled out. Like, oh fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's fucking white guys. They don't know anything. They're not gonna help anybody.
Yeah.
They're all just doing their own thing. But what about you white women? What about you?
Where were you?
Where were you? You have a uterus. Kamala has a uterus. What the fuck is going on?
All uteruses should have been out
They
there.
should have united.
Julia Roberts told me to.
Yes. All right. So here's 50 seconds of her breaking down the game film.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not.
Uh-oh.
That is
What's
what
up?
it appears happened in that state.
Hold on a second. I like the idea that black people are fundamentally obliged to vote for black people, but white people are not fundamentally obliged to vote for white people. Hey, bitch, it's a two-way street.
No shit. It's like saying, yeah.
You're sitting around yelling at black people all day. Hey, black people, she's black. Why aren't you voting for her? Well, guess who's not black? White women. So why can't they vote for white people? I mean, according to your world order, why can't Whitey just vote for Whitey?
Yeah.
Common sense is gone. Common sense is lost.
I love it because the black thing is like, let's get Barack Obama to yell at black men for not voting for a black woman. It's like, all right, then we should get Ted Nugent to yell at to yell at Doug Emhoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, Whitey?
I'm from Detroit. Ted Nugent, he's been yelling at me since I was a baby.
He's a Motor City madman.
I've been watching Ted Nugent my whole life.
Let's get Bob Seger or Ted Nugent
And Kid Rock.
to yell at Doug Emhoff.
They
What
would.
the fuck, white guy? Come on, wake up. Are you white? Yeah. Is Donald Trump white? Okay. Do your civic duty.
Vote white.
Vote white.
Oh, man.
And vote right. All right. We'll play it out, sir.
That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And
Come on, Whitey. And whatever happened, what about the big swinging black caucus?
Yeah. What happened?
I used to do that all the time on K-Rock Radio, talk about the big swinging black caucus. And the program director would always go,
I can't
I
fire
don't
you.
think, what? There's a black caucus? They have a big swinging black caucus over here? And he'd go, stop saying that. I don't think you can say that. I'd go, what? There's big swinging black caucus. What? There's a black caucus. They're having a party. They got a Benny Goodman cover band to come in there. And now it's the big swinging black caucus.
They so badly wanted to figure out a way to let you go, but they kept rereading the contract. They couldn't let you go on that.
It says here in the
Just weren't
contract, he
saying
has
it.
to say, did George Carlin say anything about the big swinging black caucus, or was it the 7 dirty words? Right. So Joy is not joyful. She's
Miserable.
She's miserable. Kamala Harris was a bad candidate that people didn't like. Otherwise, they would have voted for her. It wasn't this group or that group.
I agree.
Women got to vote for women. No, they don't have to vote for anybody other than the person they think has better policy. And she's an unlikable person. So here's I think what it comes down to is their thing is, you didn't have to vote for her. You just had to be scared of Trump, and that would be enough for you to vote for an unlikable person. That was basically what they're saying. And what the people who voted for Trump were saying is, we weren't scared of Trump. You tried to scare us about Trump, but we weren't. I don't know if they're right or they're wrong. I don't think Trump's scary, but they didn't sufficiently scare them about Trump. So you would go, this guy's a convicted felon, 34 counts, convicted felon. And doesn't that sound scary? And I'd be like, well, if he's involved with arson, maybe.
Right, murder.
But tell us about his felony conviction. Well, he fucked a porn star 13 years ago.
Who didn't?
Who didn't? Yeah. And then what's the 34 count? He offered her $120,000 for her not to talk. Not effective. But what's the 34? He made payments of $8,000, and each one of those payments is its own felony. And then you went, oh, well, now I'm not scared. But by the way, you know who's a convicted felon? Martha Stewart.
She did her time.
I'm not scared of
At
Martha.
all.
You want Martha Stewart running your company? Yes, I do. Yes, I would like Martha Stewart to run this company. Is she available? She's a convicted felon.
You'd have nice plates out here. The whole place. If she decorate, and it's already nice, but if Martha Stewart comes in here, poof, another level.
Next level
of white plates.
Oh, tchotchkes galore.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're not white.
You didn't sufficiently scare us into thinking, what
right.
about that rally he had at Madison Square Garden? Yeah. You know who else had a rally? Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big rally right before the Ali fight.
Yeah. Okay. That's not enough, though. I'm not making the connection between. Yeah. Guess who else? Gordon Lightfoot sold out Madison Square Garden in 1974. I like Gordon Lightfoot. Is he Hitlerian? Like, you got to do a better job of scaring the people, because we don't like her, but we will vote for her if we're sufficiently scared. But you paying a porn star doesn't scare me.
Not at all.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
that's where common sense has been lost.
Now, they could have probably focused on a little more substance and some things that should scare you, whatever tariffs or economy or fracking or something.
Random rhetoric.
But they went hard in the paint for Hitler and Fallon and that kind of stuff. And then, said the unknown soldier was a pussy and took a leak on his coffin and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if that happened. And so they didn't do a good enough job, and now they're pissed. But the answer is, you got to run a better fucking candidate.
There you go.
If it was Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, then they would have won.
We got to fight, right?
And it's also this thing of like, we're not ready for a female. We're ready for whoever's good.
We're ready for anything.
We'll take anything.
Give us a leader.
At this point, that wasn't a misogyny thing. She was just.
I agree.
Bad at messaging, and I felt like she wanted to call herself the champ, and she ducked a couple guys in the top 5. She didn't
put.
She didn't welcome everyone into the ring and say, lace it up, let's do it.
It's like when Mike Tyson fought Tony Tucker. You know what I mean? He finally fought a tough guy. You go, oh, this guy's not fully invincible.
TNT Tucker.
Out of Detroit.
That's how you know Tony
Represent.
TNT Tucker.
Kronk boxing.
Oh, the Manuel Stewart.
My dad was good friends with him.
Tommy the Hitman Hearns.
Milt McCrory.
Tommy Hearns was such a badass that he had 2 nicknames.
Motor City Cobra and the Hitman.
You know your Detroit history.
I know my boxing, bro. I brought you a shirt, but my brother told me I can't give it to you because I cut the sleeves off prematurely. I didn't wear it, but I brought you a Kronk boxing shirt.
You Jews with your boxing.
Oh, we love it.
You love it. You used to do it.
We fought early in the 50s and 60s. I had 2 uncles that were pro fighters.
Really?
Yeah.
So now I always say that. There used to be a lot of Jewish fighters. And they go, well, how come it's all Mexican and black now? And they go, well, because they got smart. They went to college. They got jobs. And they get punched in the head. And they lifted themselves out of it.
That's exactly what the trajectory
So
was.
why is all the Mexicans and black? Because they're not doing that. They're fucking not doing it. And that's why they're still boxing.
Yeah.
You got to do that. You got out.
There's I don't know any left Jewish fighters in the game right now. But there were some. There's this great book, Al Bummy Davis versus Murder Inc., which was like this dude, Al Davidoff, but changed his name to Davis, and he was fought for a championship back in the day. But there were Jewish fighters. There's a lineage of Jewish tough guys that you don't hear about in your sport or in a lot of sports. But my family's kind of from that. We're not
from that. You're
we're
Detroit
not the lawyer.
Jew.
We're scrap
not
metal.
Encino Jew.
Correct.
That's right.
Scrap metal.
Scrap metal, was that the business?
That was the family business. My dad was a scrap peddler.
Really?
Yeah. He had one dump truck. I was driving a dump truck at 15.
Oh, so un-Jewy.
We were un-Jewed. We were fully un-Jewed.
I've never met a real un-Jewed Jew.
Industrial Jew.
We exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was a scrap metal guy on 8 Mile. He would go down, pick up the brass, take
Light
it to the
blue
yard.
collar.
Very blue, dirty.
Only Jews I knew were like North Hollywood Jews, but they lived up in the hills, Hebrew Heights, Studio City, and they're lawyers and doctors. Their dads were, professionals. There were no scrap metal guys.
Yeah, we had, we ended up, obviously, we had like a lawyer. There's a lawyer in the family. There was a doctor out there. But yeah, we were scrap metal, real blue collar, shovel brass, steel, copper. It was rough, but it was great. It was fun to, ride with your dad on a scrap truck.
Well, shifting gears, but I think you'll get something out of this, Mike. So what happened is the last few days, I noticed that the bathroom door was shut in one of the bathrooms and the fan and the light were on in the bathroom door, but the bathroom door was shut. And I was looking around kind of saying like, well, who's been in that? And then a half an hour went by. I was like, who's in that bathroom, And then I was doing kind of a head count. I was like, everyone's here. And then I opened the door and I realized no one was in there. And then it happened the next day. And then I realized somebody here doesn't know the bathroom etiquette that I laid out to every employee and every new employee. And I realized it was Mayhem Miller.
Wow, what the hell?
Who doesn't know the bathroom etiquette, which is, I just want to use it as not even as a metaphor, but as an example of when you lay something out that makes sense early and everyone abides by it, it's magnificent.
Beautiful.
We got a bunch of people here. We got only 2 toilets, and we got a lot of traffic going in and out of those places, which then meets with a lot of confusion. Because when the door's shut, people think someone's in there, so they wait, and they don't want to be rude, so they don't knock. But then it turns out someone left and shut the door behind them, and is now person's been waiting without. So I implemented this. I did not tell Mayhem about this, but he's going to find out now. And I would suggest everybody employ this at every workplace and at your home as well. It's very simple. When the door is fully shut, pulled shut, you don't have to check if it's locked or anything. If it's pulled shut, there is someone in there. 100% of the time, that's the fucking rule. If you shut it and it latches, you do not have to query about somebody in there, hypothesize or knock or anything. That someone is in that room when the door is shut. When no one's in the room and you're done, the door's open. Everyone can see. There's nobody in there. And when the door is ajar, meaning like 6 inches open, that means enter at your own risk. That means someone was in there and did some damage. And you may want to wait on that just a little bit. Wide open, nobody. Shut, someone always. 6 inches of daylight, damage done, understood. Here we go. That's it. Everyone here abides by it. They don't really abide by anything else I've tried to instruct them with, but for some reason that one's stuck, and there's never confusion. and there's never a problem, and there's never anyone, sorry, bro, and the guy's leaving when you're knocking or whatever. It never happens. It's years. It's countless anuses on high rotation, in and out, no confusion, no problems, no surprises.
My thought was you do the damage, you seal off, you cordon off that area, and let that fan do the dirty work.
I know, but now
Different upbringing.
you're down the road and it's been an hour and the door's shut and the fan's running and people can't use the bathroom because they think someone is in there.
Oh, but I'm a full-on barge-in kind of guy. We'll knock on the door. Hey, if I got to really, you know what I mean?
I like where your head's at.
Locker room Miller.
Yeah.
Tell us about the prison shit.
Prison shit, you got to shit, flush. Shit, flush. Shit, flush.
Right.
Constant stream. Look, your toilet should be so clean that you can wash your clothes in it. And in fact, I did wash my clothes in the toilet many times.
It's the courtesy flush.
Not the courtesy flush. It's above. Courtesy flush is, poop. Nah. Prison flush is shit, flush. Shit, flush. Shit. Anytime
Let me write that down. Would you say it was flush shit or shit flush?
Shit flush.
Shit flush. Shit flush. I got it now.
They tell you that when you get there?
Yeah, what do you mean? If you don't have a cellie that instructs you of that, then you're assed out because you're going to be in big trouble.
Can I make this point? Most of us do not have a tankless system.
I know.
You got high pressure, positive water flow. You can flush. You got a clip that has 1,000 bullets in it.
Yeah.
I have a single shot.
Yeah, you're right.
That I have to reload.
A musket. Yeah.
So I can do the one. Yeah, I got the musket. I can do the flush, but I got to wait for the tank to fill up before I can do the next offering. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the courtesy flush. I'm all about the courtesy flush. The problem is you go into the bathroom at the airport and it's got the stupid button in the middle or the eye, the secret
Sensor.
eye, and I find myself leaning over like I'm trying to help my fellow traveler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know where first off, let's just say it's always on the right side. Like, let's just make a law.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Look, cars in the United States, steering wheel's on the left, passenger on the right, brakes on the
Standardized.
on the left. Like, that's it. So when I'm at the airport, I can be accommodated.
Yeah. But, you got to do some toilet yoga. Spin all the way around.
Yes, I know.
Man.
And the worst is when it's got the eye. And then you try to roll over so much that you wave the hand or whatever. It's horrible.
I don't like when it thinks you moved.
Me too.
And then it flushes on you.
And you get your balls all wet?
Yeah, everything's happening.
Yeah.
Too sensitive of a sensor.
Get right.
I love when they do those stories where they go, we went to a bathroom and we have an asimometer. It measures the amount of vaporized poop. And it's like, turns out when you flush a toilet, the radius is 28 feet. It fires ass juice everywhere. It's like, it never turns out good. You know what I mean? When they go, we did a study in an airport. Okay, let me guess. Wow. Ass juice. How many metric tons of ass juice have I breathed in? Is that what you're saying? I have brown lungs.
Sneezing.
Brown. Yes. All right.
Like the scrapyard.
We should take a break and we should do some news with Mayhem and Mike right after this. Hey, I'm Adam Carolla. That's Brad Williams and Jay Leno.
Hey, buddy.
Over there, we're doing our third annual comedy fantasy camp. That's going to be January 23rd through the 26th, right in Hollywood, California. Where else would it be? These guys are going to be there.
So remember, 2 out of every 3 comics make it big.
Well, 1.5.
Do I get paid for this? Please tell me I get paid for this.
Go to comedyfantasycamp.com and get in on the fun. Well, it's the best time of the year to get some home security going, and that's where Simply Safe comes in. They're giving my listeners early access to the Black Friday sale. That's right. You get in early. Ground floor, Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection changes the game by preventing crime before it happens. Right. You don't want to get a busted window, someone in the house, then you find out. Now, this nips it in the butt. If someone's lurking around and acting suspicious, agents see them in real time, talk to them directly, set off a spotlight, even call the police. No long-term contracts. And by the way, I think they use AI to recognize the friendly neighbor or the person that's walking their dog. No long-term lock-in contracts, cancellation fees. It's around $1 a day. That's not much to spend for security. This week, well, you can take 60% off any new system with the Select Professional Monitoring Plan. It's their best offer of the year, and it's all for you. It's Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
Head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this season. Don't wait. This offer won't last long. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
BetterHelp. November is all about gratitude. Let's see. Who am I grateful for? Mr. Backus, my 6th grade teacher. He was the only one who was nice to me. Didn't really work, but I love Mr. Backus. So have a little gratitude and be grateful. But, we don't thank people enough. Maybe we don't thank ourselves enough. Thank yourself. Be your best self this year. How about that? Get a little therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. You get your head right. The rest will follow. Always been a big fan of therapy. And BetterHelp, well, it's entirely online. It's convenient. And it's flexible. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. And by the way, you can switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. So get the head right this year with BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Carolla today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Carolla.
Hey, Mondo. Well, it's football season. I love it when the weather gets cool and it turns to fall and I watch the games with the guys and eat the wings and drink the beers. Well, Mondo's the MVP. Clinically proven 72-hour odor control. Perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm wearing mine right now. I did it this morning. Safe for the whole body. Pits, package, feet, everywhere. Totally safe. Clinically proven to control odor. Better than a shower with soap alone. So you use the soap, you do the shower, but you got to control the funk. When you're out and about, available 3 ways. Invisible spray, solid stick, that's what I used this morning, and invisible cream, and 4 cologne quality scents. Bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, Clover Woods. Oh yeah, I used the bourbon leather this morning. Special offer, new customers get $5 off a starter pack. That's what I opened this morning. With my exclusive code link, use Adam at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. And stop the funk. Right, Dawson?
Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers or as last-minute stocking stuffers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That's over 40% off your starter pack. Use code ADAM at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't let BO keep you on the bench. Smell better naked with Mando.
I quit going to the strip clubs. That's my new thing. I'm done. Every guy does the same shit. I'm not spending more than $80. 6 trips to the ATM later, you're robbing a friend. And every dancer is putting herself through college. I didn't realize there's a wave of genius strippers in the world. In 10 years, you're going to be at the neurosurgeon like, Pussycat Johnson? Holy shit, you really did it.
Mike Young is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Stealing Jokes is the name of the movie. Available on Amazon, Apple, Vudu, Google, YouTube as well. What do you got, Mayhem?
Yo, first off, George Gascón is out as the LA County DA.
Good.
Yeah, new in is Nathan Hochman, I guess. Hochman must be.
I think it's Hochman.
Hochman. Tuaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the new DA. He defeated progressive prosecutor George Gascón in the race for Los Angeles County District Attorney, as crime was seen as a top issue in this election cycle.
Yeah, we do. We always do. We try these little experiments, and then later on it turns into a shit show, and then later on we undo what we did, which is like we had to have Prop 36 because that undid Prop 47. And so what we do is we come up with really bad ideas. 10 years ago, we were like, there's too many black gentlemen in prison. Why? Well, they keep getting arrested for stuff. What kind of stuff? Stuff like shoplifting. Well, what if we just didn't arrest them? Don't you think that would solve the problem? I was like, well, it would solve the problem of black men being in jail, but it wouldn't solve the problem of shoplifting. I think it would exacerbate that problem. And they go, there's far too many black men in jail. I'm like, well, why don't we look into the root causes of that instead of deciding shit people are doing to get them put in jail is now fine is not really going to help that. Well, it'll help, but it's not good if you're a shopkeeper. And so we go, no. Prop 47 it is, and then all the smash and grabs and all the stealing and all the homeless stealing everything, and then the fucking Mexican cartels getting involved and taking up to 850 because it's a felony past that. And then at some point, after a decade of chaos, somebody goes, I have an idea for another prop. Here's a prop. It's called Prop 36. It'll make that stuff wrong again. And then everyone goes, let's do it. Now, I would argue that good governance is not suggesting the first shitty prop.
Correct.
And then what we do is we go, yeah, that was a horrible idea. Let's get rid of that idea. But no one ever goes, well, whose idea was it? Maybe we should get rid of that person. How about the person with the shitty ideas? Can we get rid of that person? No. We like that person. We implement their shitty ideas. A lot of people get hurt and killed, and then we reverse it. And it'd just be like if I went, look, a Prop 47, like you had to know how that one was going to turn out when we said, let's not make it illegal to steal stuff anymore. Well, what if I just said, look, I got a Prop 51. It's all households have to have a full-size male macaw parrot let loose in their house. Anyway, all right, idea. I'm listening. Well, there's a lot of homes and they need macaws. All right, a lot of brown and black kids that don't have macaws in their home. That's right. Okay, let's do it. All right, it is done. Prop 51. Everyone gets a full-size male macaw released in their home. Wild. And then all the macaw does is scratch everybody, chew up all the furniture, shit on the dog, and fuck everyone's shit out and wake everyone up at 2 a.m. with its wild calls. And then at some point I go, I got an idea. This one's called Prop 52. In this proposition, we remove the male macaws from inside homes. What do you guys think? Is that a good one? And everyone goes, yeah, that guy. I'm with that guy.
This guy's brilliant.
This macaw's been kicking the shit out of my house for 10 years now. I go, thank you. But no one thinks maybe we should get rid of the macaw guy. Maybe that guy should go. Maybe his ideas are bad. We don't do that. So that's what we do here.
Well, they ousted Gascón, and now, Hochman said he previously ran unsuccessfully for California Attorney General as a Republican, but was an independent in this race and describes himself as a lifelong centrist.
Oh, that's the other retard thing we do in California. We go, all right, listen, I'm pretty miserable with this fucking macaw. It's clawed my daughter's eyes out while she was sleeping the other night, shitting all over the place. I opened the curtain in the bathroom, and the shower curtain. It was there. It scared the shit out of me. I woke up the other night at 3 a.m. to use the toilet. I walked in and I felt something hit me in the head. Freaked out. Had to go shit in the yard. Okay, good, because this guy has a proposition to get rid of the macaws. Okay. He's a Republican. Okay, sorry. No. We're keeping the macaws.
Keeping the macaw.
We're keeping the macaw. Okay. Whoa, good news. He changed his affiliation to independent.
Bring him in.
Okay. All right. Now we can get rid of these macaws now. All right, that's good. Now we're talking. How fucking stupid do you have to be? That's how you go through your life.
The common sense is gone.
It's gone.
Just gone. People are...
common sense.
Common sense.
I got a children's book. This guy,
I'm gonna buy it.
Little Johnny, has a super pragmatic macaw.
But he doesn't get excited about anything.
No, you're cross pollinating.
That's all.
It's in the
No,
same
that's not the same book.
Sorry.
No.
2 books.
Yeah, no. My common sense. It writes itself.
It already did.
I'm not illustrating.
It's my comedy over here.
Sorry. All right. So good. Now we got a DA who's going to prosecute people because we like laws and law and order, and things will calm down. And then at a certain point, we'll get bored. And we'll go, you know what? Why is this guy locking up the black folk? And then we'll go, all right, let's get another guy and who's super macaw friendly. And then we'll fucking do it, and it'll turn into a shit show. And then we'll go, what's going on around here with all the crime? We got to get rid of this guy. Because we're dumb.
Dumb. Can you imagine day one shoplifting just stops? The burglary ring stops.
That would be awesome.
Just shoot one shoplifter.
shoot-
Just in the leg. I'm not
Yeah.
saying kill him.
Wing him.
You just need to make it exact. Just one to the ankle.
Yeah. Lower
calf
extremity. That's right.
You can't do this.
In Hollywood news, Hollywood Nights guy Tom Hanks goes scorch earth on movie critic cocksuckers as he defends his films.
Really? Hollywood Nights? Wait, the movie Hollywood Nights?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Keenan Ivory Wayans?
What?
No.
Oh, Robert Townsend.
Hollywood Nights guy. Did I say Nights?
Hollywood Nights.
Oh, wait. Hollywood. Nice guy.
Nice guy, Tom Hanks.
Oh, maybe you thought you said Nights, or maybe you did say Nights. But Hollywood Nights was a movie.
Sorry.
And it was like a weird Porky's before Porky's or something. It was kind of like that. It was
then I was
weird.
Dude, I love Porky's.
I thought it was one of those independent Keenan Ivory Wayans.
It
old school
kind of
movies.
had that vibe. We'll figure it out. All right, let's hear what he has to say. Sorry.
That thing you do.
Oh, yeah.
You were disappointed when it came out, and it has this whole other life now.
It is.
It is this cult classic.
Okay.
But that's an example of.
Let me tell you something about these suckers who write about movies. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a podcast.
My father writes about movies, and his name is Sucker.
Somebody who wrote about it is that this is just, Tom Hanks has to stop hanging around with veterans of TV because this is just like the shot on TV and it's not much of anything, That same person then wrote about the cult classic, That Thing You Do. Same exact person. It's all you need is 20 years between now and then, and it ends up speaking somewhere.
So I think he's a little fired up because he's got that new movie out with Zemeckis that nobody cares about, and I think Joe, we're talking about the Rotten Tomatoes on that one, and I can't remember who else is in it, but he made this Forrest Gump type reboot called Here with Robin Wright and Hanks, and it looks to me like a Forrest Gump sort of travel through life, young and old, whatever, and people don't seem to be excited about it.
Never even heard of it, and I love movies.
I love movies too, and we have, let's see what the Rotten Tomatoes are. So what happened was I had not heard about this movie.
Oof.
And I heard it was in the theaters, and I was thinking about seeing a movie, and I thought, oh, I like Zemeckis, I like Hanks, I like Robin Wright, I like Forrest Gump. Maybe let's go see this movie. And then I was like, but I haven't heard any buzz I haven't heard anything good about it. Mm-hmm. And then I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes to see what the critics thought, and I know critics seem to like Hanks most of the time, and it's 36 with the critics and 57 with the people. That's not good. That's a sort of rotten consensus. And I said to my girlfriend, I don't think we should see this movie, which means it worked. And Tom is right to be pissed because the critics kind of dissuaded me from seeing this movie.
Yeah. Is it about Forrest and Jenny?
No,
it's not, is it?
The revamp.
It's not about that. I didn't even see what it was about.
Gump 2.
Well, Zemeckis did the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people are thinking when you get the band back together, you're going to get some version of that.
Yeah, maybe
they hate it because it's not a feel-good movie. I don't know. I didn't look into it, but yeah, there's like maybe because Forrest Gump, that connotates something that's like so, oh wow, feel good, but that's not.
No.
They swayed you from seeing it, but I can't imagine Hanks being bad in any. Like I know he's always good.
He's always good.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't think of it. Bosom Buddies, he was good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him bad in anything. So, I don't know. Critics it's an interesting job.
You know, listen, my thing is if you get the critics and the people score and you put them together and we're still not cracking triple digits, that's
a problem.
It could... If I know nothing about the film, it might dissuade me.
Mm-hmm.
If I see the critics are low, but the people have it at 86%, I'm like, oh, fuck those critics. They don't like action movies or whatever it is.
For sure.
Right.
You made a few movies yourself. Like, what is your opinion on this?
I mean, listen, I've made 3 comedies, and so I know I made what I thought were funny movies. You make a movie to make yourself laugh. I thought they were good. You know, when I did My Man as a Loser, I got buried by a couple critics that were like, but they were like weird criticisms. It was like, why would I watch John Stamos in a comedy? And I started to get upset.
You
about
got a
that.
Rotten Tomatoes score on that?
It wasn't good. On My Man as a Loser, I can't remember. It was like 7 years ago. It was my first movie I ever did. It was the first time I wrote and directed a movie.
The beauty of the internet is we can summon that score.
Oh, Adam, don't do this, bro. It's probably not good.
We know on this show that comedies get shit on.
By the way, the movie went on to like have like 800,000 downloads, so whatever that is. Like the movie made
no
money.
Critic
There you
score.
go. That's
24 with the people.
No.
Not robust.
That's not good.
But let me say this.
I think you'd enjoy it.
It is funny when you're looking at... I've made a few movies and got a few Rotten Tomatoes scores, too. And I remember, like, sometimes you look at one, it's like, rotten. Okay, what's their critique? And they're like, 3 out of 5 stars. Mostly funny, but and I'm like... That doesn't sound like a bad review for a comedy. You know what I mean? Like, had some good laughs, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's a comedy, and you said it had some good laughs, and I got 3 out of 5. That didn't feel negative. Like, it's so weird sometimes how they just go, that was a bad review.
For a weird reason.
And I'm like, I think I could spin that into a good review.
I thought it was a solid review. Stamos did great in the movie.
No.
But yeah, I mean, making a movie is tough to get it. Obviously, getting it in the can and being done is a feat in itself.
It's a feat.
And, but the critic world is an interesting world. You know, I've met critics who are just bitter people, and I've met critics who love movies and who actually, look into, giving you a critical breakdown of the movie. So
how about the new movie? I mean, I'm sure, look, you've learned from that experience, like now this is your 3rd movie.
Yeah.
Like, so what?
This is my favorite movie. And I'm not just saying it because it's out. It's like, I've always had the sentiment like in my heart to, as a comedian, I started in stand-up so I'm 18 years into stand-up. I've made some movies now, but my sentiment with comedy was always like, you're treating the comedian, and you've probably not dealt with this as much, but sometimes club owners will like stiff you a little bit or try to pay you a different way or not hold true to a contract. So I would hear stories over and over again of comedians getting stiffed, and I always had this idea in my mind of just a heist film where we take down the comedy club. And the more I kind of researched and read about the old school guys like the Buddy Hackett's and even Pryor back in the day, they'd have a pistol on them and they would make sure they got their money. I don't do that. But like I always wanted to make a movie about it, and so this movie, it moved faster. I had a super indie cast, which was like no real diva situation with actors, and it was really just they really brought it. And I enjoy this movie, and it was like I'm a fan of like the old school Mel Brooks type humor and just ridiculousness where you could break a fourth wall every now and then, and so I was able to kind of put those fun moments into this movie. So. Whatever the critics say, go ahead. I enjoy my movie.
Yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
By the way, of course, there's moments where you go, God damn, I could have done better on that moment. But, hindsight's 2020, and stealing jokes is here.
It's hard. Making comedy is hard. Done it.
Yeah, but
taxing, man.
yeah, but when you're funny, you're just born funny. It's not like you worked on being. This is you. You're just a funny storyteller. You got a gift for being funny. So
when you have to write the script and execute it and everything, it turns into a thing, man.
Oh, and get a lot of people on board to do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's Herculean, man.
Yeah.
It's really to figure it all out. It's kind of nuts, but it is once you do that, you can kind of do anything because it is really the most difficult. Not in terms of like it's not harder than roofing, but in many
my brother's in roofing.
In many ways, you choose. In many ways, it is. It's like longer, more arduous, more moving pieces. Everyone around you is a fuck up when you make a movie. There's so many fuck ups, and then there's like 3 good people, and you have to rely on them heavily. But there's a lot of fuck ups.
Oh yeah. You want your props? Like, why is there only water and no ice in that glass? It doesn't matter. I got a baby at home.
The props.
You know what I mean? Everything matters. So
I had a. And you're in such a fucking rush. You're in such a rush. You don't have time to fix everything, and so you have these jokes like in your head, and you have them executed in your head how you want them in your head. You picture them, you see them play out, sort of your mind's eye, and then it comes time to shoot the scene. I had this scene in a movie I did called The Hammer, where like I pulled over on the side of the highway, and I was talking to some illegal Mexican guy who was just trying to sell. I was buying flowers off him, and I was having this like philosophical discussion with him about life and kind of finding myself and really doing what I wanted to do and breaking free. And he's like, "Yeah, me too." And I said, "When are you going to start doing what you want to do?" And he's like, "Yeah, what am I going to do?" And then the joke was he paused for a minute and he'd hold up a giant sack of peanuts and go, "Peanuts?" And first off, the actor who was supposed to play Carlos never showed up. Oh. He never showed up. So the other guy I was working with, Ozzy, I was like, "You know a guy, like an old Mexican guy, looks like he would sell flowers?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a guy in my apartment building." I was like, "Call him up, get him over here." Get him over here. So we're getting ready to shoot the shot. We're losing the light, blah, blah, blah. And I go, "All right, so we got the flowers." I got flowers, okay. We got the peanuts, right? Got peanuts. Yeah. We got little sacks of paper, sack of peanuts, a little miniature, like ballpark size. I go, no. The joke is I get him all fired up for this life, and he's going to start living his life, and then at some point he just lifts a 40-pound sack of peanuts. He goes, "Peanuts?" Like he's not listening to me at all. He doesn't speak English. And they go, "Yeah, we got the peanuts." I go, "Okay, that's a paper sack." I go, "Okay, listen, well, where's this?" In the script, it says he lifts up a pillowcase size sack of peanuts. This is a miniature sack of peanuts. And the guy looked at me and he goes, "Peanuts don't come in a pillowcase." Thank you for that insight. Now go get a fucking clear bag and go get 18 of your small bags of peanuts and open them real fast into the big clear bag so we can hold a big clear bag up. And then everyone starts trying to talk to you. What's the difference? It's peanuts. It's just peanuts. It's not going to work the way you want to do it. It's going to work this way. But we don't have time to get... I don't understand. You wanted peanuts. He got you peanuts. Okay, the script says pillowcase size. Yeah. Sack. I understand Mike Lindell does not sell a pillow that is filled with peanuts. That's why I wrote the word size in the script, because I thought that would mean to him to get a giant sack. And I didn't write big sack of peanuts because I knew he'd fuck that up too. It says pillowcase size.
Very specific.
Sack of peanuts.
You try to get everybody to care as much as you care. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And it's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen. They got their whole life going on behind the scenes. But that is the goal, I think, of like the director, to get everybody working in the same direction, like so that doesn't happen.
They do not care.
Because to you, that was an important moment.
Yeah.
This giant sack of peanuts. That's real. I've had a couple of those peanut moments.
Yes, you have to have your peanut moment.
I had a few peanut moments. It's like, dude, I don't want to fire you right now, but if you're not understanding that a little bag of baseball stadium peanuts is not going to land the joke, we're done talking. It's just
important moment here on CNN as Jake Tapper's stunned reaction goes viral after Kamala Harris fails to outperform Biden in a single state. We got it right here.
I had so much fun.
So you asked, are there any
Watching
places that the
CNN
vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
Yeah.
Wow.
People didn't like her.
Nobody cared.
Here's the pitch. The pitch was, you want her or would you like Hitler? And that's good if we all believe the other guy's Hitler, but we didn't believe it because Tony Hinchcliffe told a joke about Puerto Ricans. Sorry, that's not enough to get me in on the whole Hitler thing. It's not enough. So you didn't convince us, and then she didn't bring anything.
Like you said, when you do a little deeper dive and you go, Trump's son-in-law is Jewish. I'm sure he loves his grandkids. Of course, he's not Hitler.
But also, philosophically, let's just look at it this way. It just be like me going, wow, there's this really cush, clean, rent-controlled apartment right on the ocean in Santa Monica, and you'll live right on the ocean for $800 a month. They could get $6,000 a month for this place, but it's rent-controlled. And I go, okay, well, it's between you and another guy, and they want to interview you two. The owner wants to know who's going to be a better, who's going to be a better roommate in this place. I could go in there and bring some pay stubs and say I've been working for the same outfit for 14 years and I'm never late and I'm not a drinker and I'm not a snorer and I have a girlfriend and I spend a lot of time at her place on the west side. I'm not even home a lot and I don't need one of the parking spots in the parking. You can use both of them because I Uber everywhere. I could do that and you could then give me the nod to be the roommate in the rent-controlled apartment, or I could spend my entire time trying to talk you into thinking the next guy is Hitler.
Yeah.
Which would work because you wouldn't want Adolf Hitler as your roommate, but I would have to do a real good job of convincing you the next guy was Hitler, because if I didn't, then you'd go, I got one guy who they said was Hitler, but he's the guy who came in and told me all about his resume and his past roommate experience, and he seems pretty sober and pretty good to me. And then I got the other guy, I don't know that much about him, but he says the other guy's Hitler. Yeah. And then now you got to make a decision. And I'd probably take the roommate who gave me his bona fides and his plan for vacuuming schedules. And how
quiet girlfriend.
The guy went, how do you like your eggs, bro? And I go, basted? I'm ready for you every morning. 6:15. I would vote for that guy.
Favorite roommate.
Well, the other guy's tidy, knows how to paint, clean little mustache.
Oh, the actual Hitler. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
All right. Do we have one more?
We got one more. A Democrat blame game. Oh, excuse me. Can't even read. Democrat blame game begins as Harris accused of picking wrong running mate. Yeah, Kamala Harris has been accused of picking the wrong running mate as the Democratic blame game over a humiliating election defeat began.
Well, she should have went with Shapiro.
Yeah.
But Shapiro's a Jew.
Uh-oh.
And that party has some difficulty with Jews, which is really fucking weird.
It's weird. I thought that the Democrats... I don't know. I went away for a long time. But back in my day, it was Democrats were Jews.
The squad are anti-Semitic, and they're not
not
pro-Israel over there.
I thought this ended when I left my first neighborhood.
They say they love Israel, but they don't really like Israel, and they're anti-Semitic, so they won't go with Shapiro, so they go with Wackadoodle, and that's
You tell me one hijab shows up in Congress, and all of a sudden it flips all the way? That's what happened? I don't know. I'm just being educated.
The cultural sort of band leaders for the far left is the squad.
Yeah.
It's like the Ilhan Omars of the group. Those people are anti-Semitic, even though they say they're not anti-Semitic. They just say a lot of shit about Jews that's not flattering all the time.
Correct.
And they don't really like Israel, and they have some sort of fantasy about Netanyahu and Israel being sort of the ethnic cleansers and the oppressors and all that when they're really trying to defend their homeland. But people that are browner than Jews are getting killed. And according to their math, anyone who's poor and is brown is righteous. And if someone who's a lighter skin wastes that person or smokes that person, then they're angry at that person, even if the brown people are homicidal, Jew-hating maniacs.
They really, I don't even know where to begin with this. You know what I mean? Like, we were the only Jewish family in my in the first neighborhood I lived in. Like, we were the only Jews. You know what I mean? And you saw it kind of firsthand. Like, you know, you hear about bullying, but like we had like legit type of bullies. You know what I mean? Like legit.
Blacks don't like Jews either, and the Democratic Party loves blacks, or has to
pretend
they love blacks so they can get their votes. So, for all those reasons, they bypassed Shapiro, and then they went with the guy who's not a Jew, who's a little nutty.
And a little nutty.
It didn't help. It didn't help.
Yeah, if you want to talk vibes, he didn't have a great vibe.
Now, I would imagine this will be the last we see of Kamala Harris because she was a horrible VP. She ran and dropped out early and got no votes the first time around, and then she just got busted up by Trump. So this should be the end of her. There's going to be no more of that.
I just hear a thing. They signed her to a contract next year on The View.
Oh, she's going to be...
Please tell me that's not real.
She's replacing Whoopi Goldberg.
She can go...
This is not true. But it could be.
I'm just kidding.
She can go... Yeah. Look, she's going to get a whole bunch of cushy Harvard job. They'll have her faculty something, Harvard, whatever.
$50,000 a speech.
She's going to get $20 million to write a book, and everything will be fine. There's no way she's getting the keys to the Democratic car ever again.
No.
They're not going to do it. And the happiest guy on the planet right now, not Donald Trump, it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden. No, it goes.
J.D. Vance.
Here's the pecking order. No, it is Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Then it is, Jill Biden, because they fucking hate Kamala. And then it is Trump. Then it's J.D. Vance, and then it's Tony Hinchcliffe. Those are the top. That's the top five of
the relief on
Americans
face
celebrating tonight.
Hinchcliffe put him over the top.
He did.
Man,
All
he's
right.
gonna ride this out.
Mike, thanks so much for coming by. Have the Triggernometry guys coming up next.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, one of the good ones, man. Come by anytime.
Nice to meet you, man. I'll be here Thursday.
Well, I mean, you got to let it breathe.
I'm just kidding. Yo, good to meet you, man. Thanks.
Stealing jokes out as we speak on all those platforms, Apple and Amazon and everything else. And we'll talk to the Triggernometry guys right after this. Morgan & Morgan, life can be crazy sometimes, and one person's negligence can result in another's settlement. So let's hope that if anything happens to you, you get hold of Morgan & Morgan. If you're ever injured, check out our good friends Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. And as long as we're in the more department, more than $20 billion with a B dollars recovered for over 500,000 plus clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting and getting you full and fair compensation. Going on the road, doing stand-up every weekend, well, that can be hard. But submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan, that's easy. So go with Morgan & Morgan, right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law, #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or #law, #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and parts and knowledge that you need to maintain all the repairs and keep your car running smoothly. I've always been a fan of O'Reilly. I remember when I lived up in La Crescenta in my rented house with all my roommates, and I'd work on my Isuzu Trooper, and then later on my Toyota Supra. And I would go up to the O'Reilly up on Foothill. And that's where I got all my know-how and I got all my parts. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in the store or online, so you're never in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free, and they'll do it in or out of your car, so you can bring it in or you don't have to pull it out of your car. They'll come out and do it in the parking lot. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fix, quick service? They'll help you find the right part, or they'll point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. So whether you're a car aficionado or you're a novice, you get with O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're knowledgeable, they're helpful, and best of all, they are friendly, and you can do it online or you can go in. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit them at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. All right, Konstantin Kisin is here. Francis Foster is here. Triggernometry is the name of the podcast. I'm a guest on it. I've been a guest on it. And if it sounds a little different sonically, it's because we're doing a kind of home and home thing, literally in a home. I've come to you guys. You're out in LA. I've come to the Airbnb. I was on your program, and now you're going to be on my program. So thank you so much.
It's great to be back, man. Thanks for having us.
It is.
I really enjoy talking to you guys, and I kind of forget sometimes how much I enjoy talking to you guys. And I don't know if it's one of these things where we're like-minded, because sometimes someone will say something you think and you'll go, that guy's a genius, but all you're doing is saying it because that's what you're thinking too. But we don't have any history. I mean, we don't share any similarities culturally, right? So what do you think this is, where we're sort of simpatico on so many issues?
Well, I think first of all, what you do is you break down fairly complicated issues into like normal language for people. And that's how we've always thought about what we do. When we interview people who are much smarter than us, that's what we're all much more successful than us, and whatever it is. We feel that they probably can tell the world something, and we need to make it slightly less complicated. And you're a genius at breaking stuff down like that. So I think it's like an attempt to think about things from a pragmatic perspective and to make it as simple as possible.
And I think it's also the outsider status. So you very much strike me as an outsider within Hollywood. And because of our various upbringings, Konstantin's family are from Russia, my family, half of it is from Venezuela, the other half is from the UK, but I grew up in a very kind of average, working, like blue-collar kind of background. We have a way of looking at the world which means that we see it in a very pragmatic sense. We don't see it in the way that people who are within the system, for instance, in LA or London, the elite set, for want of a better way of putting it, see it. So because we have that outsider viewpoint, that means that we're able to analyze what's going on far better than somebody who is ensconced within the system.
Right, we're like you, I think, we're just a lot more interested in what works than what sounds good.
Yeah, it is interesting in that it becomes a sort of popularity contest for ideas, but not necessarily what's most effective, but what's most embraced or repeated. And oftentimes, pragmatic ideas are not popular. And it is interesting, though, they're there. I always think of this example, but when I was a young person, 11 years old, 10 years old, I was a bedwetter. And I wet the bed far later than you should have been wetting the bed. And my mom, who was sort of a progressive hippie, would have these thoughts about sending me to therapy because the urine was some expression of anger that pent up, whatever psychodynamic she did. And I would wet the bed. When I would go to my grandfather's house, who was an old school Hungarian Jewish guy, my step-grandfather, Laszlo Gorog, I would sleep on his sofa. He did not want me to piss all over his sofa, but he wasn't pie in the sky, this kid's gonna need therapy. This kid's sleeping here tonight, and I don't want to piss all over my living room sofa. So I would go to bed at 9 o'clock or 8, 10:30 or whenever a kid would go to bed, and he'd go into his office and he would watch Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and I think it would end at 12:30 or 1 o'clock back then. And then he would walk back through the living room, and he would wake me up, and he had a bucket. And he would just wake me up with his Hungarian grandpa noise. And I'd go, and he'd go, pee in the bucket. And I'd just piss in this bucket and put it under the table, fall back asleep. And I never wet the bed. And then later on, when my son was wetting his bed at too late an age, I said, we got to get Grandpa's piss bucket. We got to set the alarm. What time's he go to bed? 9 o'clock. All right, set the alarm to go off at 2 in the morning. And then he'll hit, and if he's wet already, then we'll set it for 1 in the morning. And next thing I know, I was surrounded by women who were arguing with me. You don't understand. There's a psychodynamic going here. He probably needs medication. There's an issue with his mind. And I'm like, just have him piss in the bucket. Just piss in the bucket. and they're like, you don't get it. You're not being sensitive to his needs. And I'm not going to have to, and we don't want to traumatize him and stuff. I go, just get him to piss in the bucket and this wouldn't happen. And many conversations later, many wet beds later, I just said, fuck it, I'm out of here. Do whatever you want. But the point is that's an illustration of who I am versus this world of ideas where we just talk about having a seat at the table.
Yeah, and I think what you're also talking about there as well is the feminization of society.
Yes.
Where, and look, women are great and they're fantastic and
got a lot of black friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
we don't have any female friends.
No. We like facts and logic. But the reality is, you need that masculine voice in there to go, hang on a minute. Maybe you're eating because you're sad. I get that you're sad, but she's never going to come back to you. It's over. Let's go to the gym and let's have something without carbs in it.
Right. And we have decided that tough love is tough, and then it ends with the word love. It's not just tough douche.
Yeah.
It's tough love. You do these things for your kids. They fall off the bike, they start crying. You got to get back on that bike. You got to ride that bike. Whatever that version is. And we've somehow decided to do away with that because that would make you aggressive or masculine, toxic masculinity. I mean, we have commercials out here for Gillette razors where they're talking about toxic masculinity and they're just showing 2 7-year-old boys wrestle in the backyard of the lawn. Like, look at this, can you believe it? It's like, that's what boys do. And I think a lot of what we're talking about is the feminization of the culture, and it is not working out well in terms of policy. But we had a big election.
Adam, can I just say something on that, actually? Because I think the reason it's happening isn't actually women's fault. It's because we've got to a point where we're so safe and comfortable. There's no big wars that an American is going to have to go and fight. Like, if you want to go and fight, you can sign up for the army. You don't have to.
Right.
And so we're not forced to train our kids to be prepared to face tough stuff because there's not a lot of tough stuff in their life. Oh,
yeah.
Your third bike broke. That's not.
No, I think what we don't really understand is I have this metaphor, which is when an astronaut spends an extended period of time in outer space in a zero gravity environment, they atrophy almost immediately. Muscle mass, bone density. And if you're going to spend 9 months in the space station, they have to send you up there with a bunch of equipment because you will atrophy fast, just floating around, And I believe your mind atrophies fast when you're sort of in a zero gravity environment. Your immune system falls apart when it doesn't have to do battle with anything because everything's been wiped down and sanitized and Purelled and scrubbed and everything like that. And the aftermath of zero gravity means bone density and muscle mass loss. The aftermath of cleaning our environment and sterilizing our environment means lots of food allergies, lots of asthma, lots of other things that Amish kids don't have. And the byproduct of cleansing and ridding ourselves of all trouble, fear, ridicule, opposition is a weaker, softer-minded individual. But to me, it's no different than your biceps going away. It's like, yeah, sorry, you need it. And you go, well, lifting that weight, it's uncomfortable. It's like, that's right. I mean, there's a story out there right now of some university or prep school, maybe. No, it's a university, but it's a private, $65K a year in New York City. This basically said, look, if Trump wins, nobody has to come in the next day. And people within the sound of my voice can look this up. I'm not using hyperbole. We'll have rooms that are like safe rooms, and there'll be milk and cookies in there. We're asking people who were of the age of the average guy that stormed the beach in Normandy to go hug his Huggy Bookie and have a chocolate chip cookie because things didn't work out the way he wanted it to work out vis-a-vis the election.
I mean, that would turn me into a Trump voter. Not have to go to school, milk, cookies.
Yeah.
Why not?
No wonder the young voted for him the way they did, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, it is surprising, although it shouldn't be. She was such a horrible candidate, and it's not me and my partisan opinion. Everybody agreed she was horrible 10 minutes before she became the nominee, right? She was the lowest rated polling-wise vice president ever. She was in charge of the border. People looked at her as generally incompetent, and she was sort of a bit of a punchline and kind of a laughing stock. And then she became the presidential nominee, and the machine fired up. And it was I could hear him turning the key and the diesel, like it was like all of a sudden it's like the day of, she's no longer an incompetent laughingstock who made her way here through DEI hiring. She's now bold and dynamic and courageous.
And full of joy.
And full of joy, yeah. So that had to be interesting for you guys, I guess, as sort of outsiders to this country to see how we mobilize that way.
Well, it was so obvious as well. And you've got to remember, she didn't have to be primary. She didn't go through a primary. The only time there was an election, she dropped out very early, right? That's why Joe Biden. So it just like you say, it got switched. And suddenly everyone had to believe this. It felt somewhat magical to me. It was like a magic trick. And suddenly you had to be like, oh, the ball's got, oh, that's what it is now. But you're right. She was, I think universally speaking, we speak to a lot of people who are kind of independents. She was universally regarded as an absolutely terrible candidate. And one of the reasons is she can't talk. She can't speak for an hour or for half an hour off script. And she had opportunities in this election to do what Trump did, to go on Rogan, to go on Lex, to go on Theo Von's podcast, to do all these things.
To do our one.
To do our one,
yeah.
But she didn't. And that's because she's not up to the job.
I sort of have this thing, which is, she doesn't want to be exposed. And to me, I would become very suspicious of that. So for me, the analogy is the cop pulls you over, wants to know if you've been drinking, and you go, no, haven't had a drink today. And they go, okay, but I do want you to blow into this breathalyzer. And you go, not going to do it. And then they go, well, you haven't been drinking, why wouldn't you do it? And you go, I don't have to do that. And you go, well, you do, otherwise I'm going to, take you in. And you go, you sure you haven't been drinking? Not a drop. Okay, well then blow into this breath. I'm not going to do it. It's like, all right, so you have all these great ideas and a great order, and America loves you. Go sit down and do a long form interview. Do not put a bunch of time constraints on it and final cut approval and edit beats. And you don't have to have your staff sort of show up and explain, here's some questions in advance and here's some subject. Blow into the breathalyzer if you haven't been drinking. And the thing that's comical is Trump is the antithesis of that. Trump, you could just literally go, we're having a symposium for black lesbian women that hate Republicans. We're willing to give you 20 minutes on stage. I'll go, give me that mic. Right? Now, he will go into hostile territory and do it. I'm not even necessarily saying it's advisable. I'm just saying that's his mentality. His mentality is Mike Tyson when he was at the height of his powers, and he fights Razor Ruddock, and Razor Ruddock throws this crazy uppercut, and I've never seen Tyson hit that way before, but Tyson finishes him off in the 9th round, and he famously says that guy punches like a fucking mule kicks, and then 3 months later, they're doing it again. Because Mike Tyson's thing is I'm fighting that guy because he's a badass. Because he hurt me, I want to get in and do it again with him. So he's running into the fire versus running serpentine to the mailbox. And I think people started to catch on with her that she was trying to choreograph something that was not supposed to be choreographed.
Exactly. And what it speaks to Konstantin's point, is the caliber of the candidate. Now, just imagine Barack Obama was the candidate for this Democrat party. Do you think he'd duck Rogan?
No.
I don't think he would. I think he'd go on Rogan and absolutely smash it. The same with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, no, he would. Those two guys would go, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to charm these guys' pants off.
Right.
And when we leave, they're going to want my phone number, and I'm going to start talking about music, and they're going to go, I love that band, and then I'm going to start talking about my brackets in NCAA basketball, and the next thing you know, I'm going to ask if I can have a scotch and a cigar, and I will. There's no doubt Bill Clinton would have lit a cigar and had a scotch, and then people would have walked away going, hey, I think I like that guy. And she did not, and I think it is a good sign that we as a nation were able to see through that. And I'm going to talk about some stuff today that we talked about on your podcast at the risk of sounding redundant, but I think the real losers were legacy media, celebrity endorsements, and race hustlers. Those are all the things they needed to get her across the finish line. They needed this constant Hitlerian, racist stuff, joke about Puerto Ricans and stuff. They had to do all that. They needed the legacy media going 24/7 for them, and they needed every Beyonce and every celebrity just to come out in full force. And it all, I don't want to say it added up to nothing. I don't know what the totals were, but he got 70 million votes and she got 65 million votes. That's not nothing. That's 65 million votes. It's not enough to win. It used to be enough to win. It's not enough to win anymore. And I think from this day on, it'll have less and less effect.
And and it's a great point because they wheeled out Jennifer Lopez, and you're looking at her going, I don't think you're the best person to choose a right man.
Right.
If anything you will say, I will do the opposite of that.
Right.
Who are you to judge character?
Oh my God, it's so funny. And one of the funnier things, I think it's online, but when she was doing the Super Bowl halftime show 3 years ago, or no, it was probably 5 years ago, and Trump was in.
Yeah.
And and there was a whole behind the scenes doc of the prep and everything. And she had this whole thing with, there's kids in cages. Remember the kids in the cages at the border? And it was like, the kids in cages. And she's like, I want this halftime show to be reflective and evocative of and a tribute to those kids. I want to raise awareness for all the kids in the cages. And that was the whole doc as they were planning the halftime show. And then you smash cut to the halftime show and it's her just taking her ass and shoving it, and everyone's like, literally no kids, no cages, just her in front of a camera shaking her ass the entire time. And it was but it was a perfect metaphor. It's like talk, cry, cry, cry. Somebody's got to say something, and then time to go shake your moneymaker and get paid, bitch. That's exactly what happened.
Right. So they're lying about both sides of it. You know, we were in New York. We went to the Nazi rally, just in a kind of independent journalist kind of way. And there's a bunch of Jews in line. You get inside, there's fucking Israel flags everywhere. You're going, this is all BS. Right. You're just lying. You're just making this up. You're just using these words that actually have a very real and important meaning, by the way, right? Right. And you're eroding the value of that word. So we can't actually use it to describe people who are Nazis, because they do exist. And what we're left with is, and I just think what we saw in this election is the mainstream media, I said this when we had you on our show, they took what was left of their credibility, little as it was, and they threw it in the trash can.
I agree. And to me, really all you have is your reputation. And look, whether you're a father to a son or a guy who owns a deli, you know what I mean? You just have your sort of reputation. And they play so fast and so loose with it. And I can't imagine that. I don't know what their business model is at this point with that. Also, we talked on your show about who's going to learn their lessons, you know, and the ones over at MSNBC with Joy Reid just talking about white women, angry at white women need to support black women, and black women, you're fine, you did your job, but black men, I give you a B-, white men, you know, you're lost, Hispanics, you guys need, and it's like, that's the most racist thought I've ever heard. You break everyone into groups, and then you get angry at them for not doing what you think they should do because they're in that group.
And if you take your metaphor further, I mean, they're literally saying that they own certain groups.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, black men, you didn't do your. What do you mean your job? What does that even mean? Well, black men aren't allowed to be pro-low taxes and small government. They aren't allowed to want to not have to compete with illegal immigrants for jobs. That's why are they supposed to vote in this particular way? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's a very grandiose thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's also kind of, it's very tribalistic, and it's also grandiose in that, back to the fighter metaphor, Don King has ripped off every black fighter he's ever managed. You know what I mean? And a lot of those fighters went to him because his pitch was, I get you, brother, because I'm one too. You know what I mean? And then he proceeded to rip them off horribly. Now, there's many Jewish promoters and managers who did not rip them off, made them more money, and were responsible about it. So the fact that the guy shares the same skin color of you is no indicator that they're going to help you whatsoever. And I would argue that they have a lower batting average because they're getting by on this perceived trust. Because, oh man, we come from the same neighborhood, man. You understand me. It's wildly condescending when Obama yells at black men to vote for the Indian woman, or when so-and-so on MSNBC is yelling, you know, I'm a black person, what goes on. And then also, they're racist, so every decision they make is race-based. My decisions are not race-based. Mine are policy-based. That's why I voted for Larry Elder when he was running against Gavin Newsom, because I liked his policies better. And no one at MSNBC understands that concept.
Yeah, and it's also as well, like they talk about, you know, Latin men. What does that actually mean? Are we talking about Argentines, Brazilians, Hondurans, El Salvadorians, Venezuelans, Cubans? I'm telling you something now. There are probably 6 Venezuelans in this entire country who would vote Democrat.
Right.
Because they come from communism. They see what's happened with communism in their own country. They have seen Democrat politicians come out when Chavez came to power, eulogize Hugo Chavez and say this is a new socialism, this is the bright new dawn. And they have also seen those Democrat politicians disappear into the wind when things went south. So they're going to look at them and go, am I going to vote for you? Hell no. The same with Cubans. So this idea that Latin people or Latinx people are a monolith, Latinx is ridiculous. And let me tell you something for something else. There is no Latin person who likes being called Latinx.
No.
It pisses them all off. I asked my Venezuelan mother what it felt like being Latinx. And she said, ¿Qué coño es Latinx? Which means, what the C is Latinx. So they have no concept of it. And it's just something that white liberal progressives have put on these people, and then all of a sudden they're meant to use that.
And they have driven the truck of the Democratic Party off the cliff with this progressive nonsense. Because you remember this, the Democrat Party, on all of these immigration and all this stuff, they used to be to the right of where Donald Trump is now. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long ago. Obama used to talk about illegal immigration all the time, Clinton, etc. So the question, coming back to your original point, is, are they going to learn? Mm-hmm. And that's the interesting one, because they've got two choices, it feels like to me. Either they're going to learn, or reality is going to keep slapping them in the face.
Yes.
And if that happens, and this is a crucial point, I think, Donald Trump has an opportunity to actually deliver on his promises that he didn't quite have as much in his first term.
Yes.
He's got no re-election to run for. He's got the Senate, maybe the House, we don't know yet. It's a crushing victory and an overwhelming mandate. If he can do, 50% of the stuff he's promised to do, if he can close the border, if he can help Israel settle that, if he can help Ukraine do a good deal, if he can deal with the economy and make sure that prices aren't going, all of that. If he can do that, and the Democrats continue to go crazy, he can lock up this thing for a generation.
Well, also J.D. Vance is 39, 38.
Well, that's what I mean. They've got a strong bench, right?
Obviously, we're not talking about Trump in perpetuity. Bill Maher thinks Trump.
No.
He's going to live to 150 and never.
No, he's going to hand it off to whoever is next. And
right.
What I'm saying is, if he delivers in this term, who is going to vote for an even crazier Democrat Party 4 years from now, after 4 years of Trump crushing it? Nobody.
Yeah. So what Trump theoretically could do is go, look, I'm managing this apartment complex. The apartment complex had a lot of garbage, and there were stray cats all over the place, and a rat problem and a roach problem. I'm just coming here and I clean up the roaches and the rats and the garbage, and I fix the fence in the front and so on and so forth. And I do that. And then at some point I go, look, I can't manage this apartment building anymore, but here's my young protege, and I've taught him everything I know, and he's going to keep after it with the exterminator and the upkeep and the garbage, and he'll do the same job I did. Well, then you'd go, fine, and that would go on for a long time. And that guy's J.D. Vance, right, or it's Ron DeSantis or whoever.
And you've also got your competition for managing the apartment complex, who's like their Rat Lives Matter or whatever.
Right.
So they've gone crazy, and you've got the same guy who's got a younger guy coming to take over.
Yeah.
If that happens, they could be running that apartment complex for a long time.
Yeah. And they'd be saying defund the executioners.
Yeah. Right. But you know what always is kind of funny to me, like when you hear people on the left and they're wringing their hands, it's like, oh, this guy. And it's like, I'm always like, look, you're in California, you pay $5.50 a gallon for gas. Remember when it was $2.75? Mm-hmm. You could do that. You don't have to wring your hands over that. You could get a tax break, and we could have a stout border. Like, I know you hate it. I know you're miserable. I know you want to kill yourself, but gas is going to be cheaper. You'll have a border that's manageable. Your taxes may go down. The steak that just cost you $81 at the steakhouse could go back to $51 where it started 4 years ago. Like, I know you're miserable, but this is probably what's coming your way. This is basically, my dad died. I'm grieving. What? He left me a Rolls Royce? Oh, good. This is what this could be, even for the staunchest critics. You know, we could have the Middle East settle down. We could have Ukraine settle down. We could have a border. We could have an economy. We could have school choice. We could have Elon trimming some fat. I know you're miserable, but this could be a good, Hitler might turn out to help you.
Yeah, that's the title of the episode. But you know what California reminds me of? It reminds me of this girl. She's beautiful, she's fun, she's smart, she's got everything going for her. And she's going out with a woke boyfriend who's an arsehole. He's a vegan. Every time you're at a party, he wants to get his guitar out. He's saying he wants to be part of a throuple because he wants to be sexually liberated. Actually, he doesn't really care. He just wants to bang a load of other women.
Right.
And she's there, you know, eating mung beans on soy toast or whatever, miserable, and you're just like, dump him.
Yeah.
Just dump him.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a female metaphor analogy for California too, which is along the lines, because you know the great minds. I always said California was like a really hot blonde who didn't have to study and didn't have to work hard and didn't have to learn a second language or get vocational training, because she was such a hot blonde. She would go out, phone rang, dates, people buying her drinks and everything. And now she's in her 40s and she's not pulling it off. You know what I mean? Like the crow's feet are starting to show. There's a couple of age spots. And it's like she still shows up at the party and thinks she's the belle of the ball. But guys stop looking at her and asking her out. And California was a hot blonde all through its career. Everyone wanted to come here. Everyone wanted to start their business and hang their shingle here. They liked the freedom of California. And now it's like we're shutting down the beaches for COVID and we're going to regulate the shit out of everyone in tax. And now she's a middle-aged blonde, which is sort of like, yeah, she's still attractive, but not what it was. You know, the interesting thing I always bring up about California, which is kind of mind-blowing. Carroll Shelby, who's a famous race car driver and car manufacturer, Shelby Cobra, Shelby Mustang, won Le Mans driving for Aston Martin, by the way, back in '55, I think. He's from Texas, and he's born and bred in Texas and blah, blah, blah. He came to California, to Venice Beach, California, in, I think, 1962 or 63, to start manufacturing cars. He left Texas for the freedom of California to build cars. Could you imagine somebody trying that today? A business where you have to have welders and shape metal and spray booths, you know, to spray lacquer finishes and all that kind of stuff. Could you imagine someone leaving Texas to come to California?
It's going the other way around.
Right. Tesla leaves California, goes, Toyota leaves, Nissan leaves. There used to be like 19 different auto manufacturers in California. Now there's 0. And so my thing is like, whatever you're doing, California, figure a way to undo it.
Because you have everything, right?
Yeah.
Every time, I'm not going to lie to you, every time I get off the plane in LA, I walk out and I'm just like, this is paradise.
Right.
It's paradise.
They know it just like the blonde chick knew it when she was 21. They'd say, shouldn't you be studying and learning a trade? And she'd go, fuck that, I'm hot.
And she's right.
She's right.
Right.
But she's not quite as hot anymore, and people are leaving.
Yeah.
Which is basically, they don't want to date you anymore. They will leave. Like her thing was, how can you say no to this? You know, and it's like people are saying no now.
Well, the good thing about California is that that metaphor is not quite right, because if California started doing the things that it was doing well back in the day, or if we just looked at some other states around the US, I mean, that's one of the great things about the American system is there's competition even within where you live, right?
Right.
You don't like it here, you go to Texas. You don't like it in Texas, go to Florida. You don't like it, go to New York. There's choice, right? And people are voting with their feet. Well, all California has to do is look around and go, where are the people moving? Okay, why? Why are they moving there? Oh, okay, they've got freedom. Oh, okay, it's better for business. Oh, okay, they're not taxing them like crazy. And by the way, people will pay more tax in California because it's a really nice place to live.
Yeah.
So you can charge a little bit more, just don't take the piss, as we say in England.
Yeah, well, what they do, I mean, they do understand it a little bit, which is funny with production and runaway production. So, 90% of production was done in California, LA, Hollywood. And then they started getting greedy and they started regulating and taxing. They wanted too much. And so people went to Prague and they went to Atlanta and then went to New Mexico and they left. And then California sat around and went, Jesus, we're getting 30% of nothing now versus 20% of a lot, And then they started saying to these productions, look, you know what? We changed our mind. We're going to lower this, and we're going to deregulate that, and we're going to entice you to come back and do your productions here. And we understand that you're leaving and doing it everywhere because they're enticing you with lower regulation and lower taxes. So they get it conceptually. You know what I mean? When you go, just the industry of filmmaking, television making, and production. You do understand that's a part of your economy. They'll go, yeah, it's a big part. And you do want the prestige and whatever goes along with it and all the ancillary jobs. Yes, we do. Okay, lower some taxes, lower some regulation, and entice them to come back and do it here. And they go, I understand that. Why not understand that sort of globally? That it's all businesses work that way. It's not just the entertainment industry. Elon Musk would work that way. Automotive, every industry is bound by the same rules and economics. Why don't they understand it sort of globally is what I'm saying.
Right, and by the way, maybe if you don't chop Elon's, son's whatever off in school and you don't teach him that he's a girl now, whatever, maybe that'll help.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Maybe don't take people's kids and start brainwashing with crap that no sane parent would ever tolerate in a million years.
Right.
Maybe you can just chill out on that. You can think what you think, but don't impose it on other people where it's clearly not going to work. So it's just a pity to see this beautiful place being really driven into the ground like this, because people don't realize how magnificent California is. It is incredible. If you don't live here and you live in, the weather, 300 days a year of this.
Yeah.
It's insane. We have 3 days a year like that in England.
If we're lucky.
Well, Konstantin, you dropped a Substack that is exquisitely popular as we speak and getting a lot of traction. And I wrote some of these down. And also, I think my assistant sent it to me as a talking point that I could get into. But it's obviously based on the election and what recently transpired. And it's a 10 talking points. And I thought maybe we should just
and
go
Francis
over
will
those.
have lots to say on it as well. It was kind of 10 points about why I think people in Europe and Britain are very surprised by what's happened. But it also really speaks to, I think, what most of us who don't live here don't understand about Americans.
Number one, Americans love their country. They want it to be the best in the world. Their nation who conquered a continent, and they love strength, they love winning, and they love a leader who appeals to that advantage.
Do you know what, when we went to the Trump rally just to watch it, do you know something, the thing that really struck me that I took away from it? Donald Trump was talking about, I can't do a good impression, can you? Do you remember when he was talking about China?
China.
That's the greatest moment.
So
That's the greatest moment.
He's like, they did this report and they said if we fought in a war with China, we'd lose. And he's like, first, why would you release that report? And secondly, it's not true. We'd kick their ass.
Right.
and the whole Madison Square Garden just erupted.
Right, all
That's
the Nazis
American.
sprung to their feet.
That's Americans. Americans want to be the top dog in the world because America's the greatest country in the world. They know it. They want to maintain that. They're unapologetic about it, right? So if you've got a choice between someone who says, I love America, let's make it great, and someone who's like colonialism, 1619 and all, who are Americans going to go for?
There is a very weird enzyme that progressives have that I clued into very early because my mom was a 70s hippie and she was very progressive. My family was sort of progressive, left-leaning, but my mom was kind of a hippie, bought into all this stuff long before it was in vogue. And I could remember watching like Roots, the mini-series. I think it was an 8-part series. Probably came out when I was 10 years old. And we watched the whole thing. And, you know, every time a white slave master would like whip a black runaway slave, she would just turn to me and go, do you see what we do? Do you see who we are? Do you see this? And I was like, God, yeah, we're horrible, you know, horrible. And then some movie like Billy Jack would come out and the townspeople would be going after the American Indians, and she'd just go, do you see this? Do you see what we do? And I kind of remember her and my grandmother always kind of beating up this country. And I was sort of young, but I was like, I don't know. I feel like, what about World War II? What about liberating Auschwitz? You know, what about Pearl Harbor and Nagasaki and beating the Japanese and like whatever? And they would always just talk about, all they would talk about is slavery and what we used to do and how, and the indigenous people. You know, we raped the land, we killed the buffalo, you know, and I realized that side thinks it's gauche or something to, you could not brag in front of my mother. You couldn't brag for 10 seconds about anything. She would shut it down because she looked at it as like gross, ugly Americans. That's what ugly Americans do. They brag about their country, you know. And the left is really weird because they go, I love this country and I love the principles of this country, and I love the Constitution of this country, but we're such racists. and other countries hate us, and they should because we're so bad. And it's like, I'm always like, you love this country? You know what I mean? I'd be like, I love my son, but he's such a douchebag. You know, it's like, that's a big problem. And I think the Democrats miss that. Like, you constantly talking about how racist we are and how we basically put our boot on the neck of people underneath us to hold them down so that we can rise and all. It's like, it's not true. B, it's pretty unflattering. And C, I don't believe you love this country.
No, it's just a way of demonstrating how virtuous you are, where you're like, look, you know, I understand that we are white supremacists, and I'm going to tell you that. And by telling you that, I'm also going to be able to show you what a great person I am, because I can understand all of these things. Right. But I also find it very funny when I see the Democrat politicians come out and start talking about this stuff, and I'm like, what are you talking about, arsehole? You think you're brilliant. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in front of the entire country telling people what you think. Right. You're not modest. You're not nice. Right. It's like that Chris Rock joke. You know who should be in charge of everything? Me.
Right. Well, also, you're up there doing aw shucks and lying about your military record to make you seem like a hero. So which guy are you? All right, number 2, unlike Europeans, Americans have not accepted managed decline. Right. Which we do see in Europe what is going on, and you feel like in Europe it's sort of accepted, like this is our lot in life. We have to kind of decline.
Yeah, well, we've had our time, is the sense, right? Right. We had an empire, and now we're these small countries. Britain had an empire, France had an empire, Belgium had an empire. You know, everybody had an empire. Now these are tiny countries that don't have the same power. America hasn't accepted that. America's still the most powerful country in the world, and it wants to stay that way. And so you don't do all this luxury belief bullshit that we do. Like, we have this thing called net zero. Are you familiar with this?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's when you drive up the price of gas and energy to make yourself feel good.
Right.
That's basically what it is, right? And because green technologies, it's driving up the cost of electricity, it's driving up the cost of gas. We pay X number of times more than you guys for all those various things. Whereas you guys, what do you want? You want cheap gas and you want cheap energy.
Right.
Hence, Donald Trump, when he says we're going to drill, baby, drill, a lot of people are like, well, even if I'm ideologically not totally on board, like, I can't afford to pay what I'm paying at the pump.
Right.
Right. In the UK, in much of Europe, it's an ideological thing. It's like net zero, we must do this. And by the way, what we do is we outsource our emissions to other countries where they make things dirtier and then we ship them back. And this is green.
Yeah. It's like, I remember hearing a story a couple months ago, which is San Francisco outlawed plastic straws, but every year 200 metric tons of sewage and waste just gets washed into their bay. You know what I mean? But it's perfect. It's perfect. It's kind of it's another analogy or metaphor. I'm not going to I talk too much. Prices for most, number 3, basic goods in the U.S. have increased rapidly and are likely sky high. That is a weird thing where it's like, I was working with my guys the other day, and I said, like, they were eating a Panda Express or something like that. I said, how much for that thing? And they go, like $20, $18. I was like, God, that's expensive. And I know it's like everyone feels it. It's what literally you go out to a nice restaurant and it's 40% more, and gas was $3, $5, and then you turn on the TV and you have Kamala Harris explaining to you that it's not happening and that you should be happy because unemployment's at an all-time low and wages are at an all-time whatever. And I'm like, everyone I know just says they make less money and everything costs more. So it's a weird job to talk people out of their experiences. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's like literally you're living in a house in the dead of winter with no heater and there's steam coming out of your mouth and you're saying to your partner, I'm freezing in here. And they go, no, you're not, you're warm. But this is perfectly comfortable. And then you go, it's so cold. I can see steam coming out of my mouth. They go, I'm not even gonna sleep with a blanket tonight. I'm sleeping in the nude with no blankets. And you're like sweatpants and a towel over your head. And they're just explaining to you that it's not happening. And I'm like, you can't do that. It was not going to work. If people feel this, it's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, the Democrats did that most pertinently of all with Joe Biden. They were denying the fact that he was in neurocognitive decline, despite the fact that we could all see it. And then they were like, no, he's perfectly fine. And then he goes and introduces Vladimir Zelensky to the stage as Vladimir Putin.
Right.
And that's the moment they went, you know what, the game's up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a comedy moment of the year, tragic as it was, just to see Zelensky's face.
Right.
Yeah.
He quite literally did a double take. He couldn't believe it. It was like something out of Candid Camera.
Yeah, I know. It's a very interesting task. And in a way, I feel sorry for the mainstream news outlets who had to explain to people something wasn't happening that we were all experiencing, much like the person telling you you're perfectly warm in your home when you're freezing your ass off. And I do like they came up with the cheap fake. I like when they give something a title. They give things a title and then they go, problem solved. They go, what's going on? Remember Putin's price hikes? That's what we had. Yeah, we go, what's going on? Everything's so expensive. Yeah, that's called Putin's price hikes. Oh, there's a name? Oh, I didn't know there was a name. I thought I was just getting poor. But you're saying it's called Putin's price hikes. Yeah. When's Putin going to stop doing this? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to defund his oligarchs. We're going to take away their condos in Manhattan, and then he's going to stop. Oh, okay. Good. That's our plan. What's going on now? Are we still under Putin's price hikes, or can't we say gay? Or is this Jim Crow, but it's Jim Eagle? Like they just announce something, and then we go, oh yeah. And it'd be like if your mom came into your room and went, God, this place is a pigsty. It's a mess. You need to clean it up. And you went, you mean my beautiful chaos experiment? And they went, you got your clothes all over the fucking floor. Do not mess with my chaos. This is what I call controlled chaos. And then I sold her on this title.
Sold, it's marketing.
Right. Meanwhile, it's just a kid who doesn't clean his room and it's a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, should we go to number 4? Unlike you,
Europeans,
Americans do not believe in socialism. They believe in a meritocracy.
Right, this is how we think about it. If you think about the difference between, I grew up in the Soviet Union, right, the communist society and the capitalist society. Communism is all about how do you divide the pie.
Right.
That's not what this country is about. This country is about, we want to bake a shit ton of pie and everybody gets some.
Right.
And you get the amount of pie that corresponds to the amount of work that you put in.
Right.
That's America. That's the American thing. So this idea that increasingly, the rich are evil, no one in America thinks like that.
Yeah, we try to convince them that the people that pay all the taxes and create all the jobs are somehow evil, but it doesn't really stick.
Most Americans think either I'm going to be rich one day, or I had my opportunities and for whatever reason it didn't happen. But most Americans are going to live their life and do pretty well, and they know that they were living in a system where they had every opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like this. If rich people are evil, why is everyone trying to get rich? And if this country is racist, why is everyone in Africa trying to get here?
Right.
So you can say whatever you want, but if people are killing themselves of another race trying to get here, they don't think we're racist. And if everyone is evil is rich, why are we working so hard to get rich? And by the way, the people that are saying it don't believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
This is why Americans don't like DEI. It's not because they're racist, it's precisely because they're not racist. They believe in meritocracy, so when they see people being given things that they haven't merited, that's when Americans go, well, I don't like this.
America, number 5, are the most pro-immigration people in the world.
They just don't like illegal immigration.
Right. It's also, by the way, the titles, which is an interesting thing, illegal aliens is what it was my entire life. And it's got the word alien and illegal right in it, and you should not want that in your country. And then it became sort of undocumented, workers, and then it kind of became dreamers, and it's going to be gnomes or fairies or godfathers or something at some point. They give it some title that's very euphemistic, and whereas in the past you were against illegal aliens, now you'd have to be against dreamer asylum refugees, which now makes you a douchebag. And being against abortion doesn't make you evil, but being against women having the right to make their own decisions about healthcare, that makes you kind of an asshole.
Yeah, and it's, this is something that people don't talk about enough. So take Venezuelan people. There's a lot of Venezuelan people in this country. A lot of them came to this country legally. They had to flee their own country because of everything that's happening in Venezuela. They come, they contribute, they work hard, they become part of the community. They contribute to America. There is a very small number of Venezuelans who come here illegally, and then there's an even smaller number of them who create chaos, misery, and problems by being part of a gang. Now, those gangs create awful, awful problems within society. They create misery, destruction. But here's what they also do. They also make it so much more difficult for Venezuelans who live in this country, who play by the rules, who do everything that they're meant to. Because what happens now is that the term Venezuelan then gets associated with as a bad thing. And every Venezuelan person, I know lots of them here who are like, that's not me. I'm not like that. And all of a sudden, when people hear Venezuelan, they think Tren de Aragua, which is the name of the gang.
Right.
And you go, this is awful. This is awful. And it's just stigmatizing decent, hard-working people. So by letting these people through, you're not making the lives of just Americans difficult. You're also making the lives of legal immigrants more difficult.
Which is interesting in a country that, as I say, is the most pro-immigration country I've ever been to. Like, people in America keep saying to us, you guys need to move here.
Right.
Like, people don't do that anywhere else.
No, look, first off, who are you comparing us to?
Right.
This is what I say all the time. Like, you're not allowed to invent your own utopian society that never existed, that never had slavery, that never had indigenous people, that never had industrial people polluting a river or a lake. You're not, or corrupt politicians or racists. You're not allowed to create. You're not allowed to compare us to places that didn't exist. We have to be compared to places that did exist, who did involve themselves in slavery, who did have genocidal thoughts, who did start wars, who did slaughter indigenous people. Every country has that almost baked into it, almost like saying, I'm a person who made it from 0 to 50 years old and never had an awkward moment where I had breakouts, or I was too big for my body grew before I could control it, or I was awkward or goofy or weird with the opposite sex or something. It is literally baked in that you just have to go through this. Like, if you talk to another person and if you talk to a supermodel, they go, oh, I was such a dork in high school. And then you go, you thought you were a dork. Here's a picture of me in the 10th grade or grade 10 or whatever you guys are calling it now. But the point is it's part of the process, and mistakes are made along the way. People die, people are enslaved, people are interned, all bad. But seeing how it's a given that everyone has gone through that awkward phase known as slavery and genocide, where are we at now? And who's trying to get to your country versus trying to get to our country? And what would it be like in modern times for a person that was subjugated to this back then, living in 2024's America, or wherever country we're talking about? And that's the only yardstick we can use to accurately measure a country.
And most importantly, where are we going, Adam?
Right.
Where are we going? Where are we trying to get to? Are we moving in the right direction or in the wrong direction? Because that's all you can do, right? I often say, if you talked about your wife the way people talk about their country, people would say you're an abuser.
Right.
That's what they'd say.
Right.
Oh, she did this 20 years ago and she did that and blah, 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 blah. Like, you don't do that.
I only talk shit about my country when I'm drunk. And I think you could do the math. All right, let's jump to the last one since we only have a couple of minutes left. America is a country whose founding story is one of resistance to government overreach.
Right, like America is a country that is born of revolution against people telling you what to do. Right, you don't like regulation, you don't like restriction, you like freedom. And by the way, really importantly, you understand in this country that freedom comes with a price. That price is self-reliance, right?
Right.
Like, yes, you have freedom. That means you've got to work your own shit out. And that's not a right-wing or a left-wing point. I just think that's an American point of view.
Yeah, the trend that scares me is government says, here's what we're going to do for you. And then once they get enough of those people in under their tent, then those are people that are going to vote for them. When you take people and you get them out of the private sector and you move them into the government jobs, you have lifelong voters if you're the party that put them there and got them those jobs or got them their handouts or their gifts or what have you. It's essentially bribery. It's essentially going, I'm going to vote for the candidate who gives me the most free shit. And they always hurt the people they're trying to help by giving them too many handouts, just like you don't you go to a national park, it says don't feed the bears, because what happens when you feed the bears? They start hanging around the dumpster and they get fat and lazy, and they have to be able to forage and hunt for themselves. So the fact that there are Americans that are basically lazy bears who like the idea of eating from the communal dumpster versus hunting. And our tendency is to be a lazy bear. Like if you, given the opportunity, if you said to all bears, would you like to go scrub through the brush there and run down a gazelle or a hiker or something to eat? Or you want to go to the dumpster and eat for free, they just go to the dumpster. My point is I don't want the dumpster, and the reason I want the lid locked on the dumpster is not because I hate bears, it's because I love bears.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why America's great, because it's opportunity in the way that you don't get anywhere else. You feel it when you come here. It's exciting, it's vibrant. It's what makes it such a great place to be.
And it wouldn't surprise me if one of the reasons so many people did vote for Trump is Elon and the sense that he's going to eliminate a lot of waste and a lot of bureaucracy.
I love Elon. It's sad to me that I sometimes think about one of my goofball family members who votes for Kamala Harris will cancel out Elon's vote. One of my Dumbo family members makes $41,000 a year and has a junior high education will cancel his vote out. I like to think it's my family member who does that. Listen, it's insane to me to hear people on the left screaming about Elon Musk. Like, that guy, what does he know? He doesn't know anything. You know, what we need is this guy who, we need Tim Walz in there we need the guy who coached football at the high school level. That's a guy who can do something in this society, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I would tend to listen to the genius. And I do think if Elon was saying, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris, I would like to listen to why. Now, Mark Cuban, I have a lot of respect for, and I'm friendly with, and I think of him as a solid thinker. But when he explains why he's voting for Kamala Harris, I don't believe him, and I don't think it makes sense. And then plus, he does this thing where he goes, you got to vote for Kamala Harris. Mark Cuban does. Obviously, capital gain, unrealized capital gains, that's insane. No one's going to do that. We can't do that. That'll destroy this country. And it's like, well, that's what she wants. You know, yeah, well, I know. I'm voting for it, but not that one. Not that one. You know what I mean? And then obviously the corporate tax rate, that can't, she bring that down. That's going to be devastating. But anyway, she's the one you should vote for. Well, you're telling me a bunch of shit that you don't like about what she's doing. You know what I mean? And if Elon Musk said, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and here's why, and I sat there and I nodded and I went, you know, that makes sense. Then I would go along with it.
Right.
With it. We're out of time. You guys have been so generous. And are we ever really out of time? Or do I have to go to Glendale and do more podcasting? Triggernometry Podcast. I love seeing you guys. I love seeing the growth. I love seeing you pop up everywhere. And I just feel this election was a vote for sanity. And I understand other people think it was a vote for Hitler and a vote for racism. I don't think that. I think it was a vote for pragmatism and sanity. And when I hear you guys, it's a vote for sanity.
And I just hope Donald Trump now delivers.
Yes.
Because if he does, we actually have an opportunity to return to sanity, not just now, but permanently, for the foreseeable, right? This woke nonsense could be crushed now.
Agreed. Thanks, gentlemen.